Tell you what, my judging partner over here, Blaine Olson, told me it was going to be pretty interesting as they came through. And I'm not going to tell you there's a perfect one out here. And I told the young lady as I put her in third, I said, hey, this is a really good gilt that's going in third. There's just two out here that have more in terms of pieces and parts and unique offerings, I guess, to this particular class. And I guess I just took a minute to study this pair and just in my mind kind of visualize where you kind of project them and see where they're at. And there's some major differences in this pair, and I think it's close, honestly. And I know that there's one, or I guess these are both outliers. Let's be honest with ourselves. They're both very far-reaching pieces. Just simply put, from my perspective, the gilt that wins this class, she doesn't win it because she's the hairiest and all this other fad stuff we're going through. She wins it because she's the best in her skeleton and that she's the best built in this particular drive. And then she stacks on the extras in terms of look. She has the ability to be more laid back in her shoulder, to put her head and neck more appropriate on top of her blade. I think that's very important when you talk about a pair of gilts that have very far-reaching pieces. And then you take her to the ground, and she's ridiculously big-footed and heavy-structured and loose. I think that's a very interesting gilt. Ideally, I guess, as I step way back of her, I wish I could maybe just drop her in her flank. I mean, just this much. And maybe the hair on her body wall and belly wall is kind of playing some mind games from my perspective on that. That's a very, very interesting pig. I look forward to talking to Blaine about these when they come back out, because the red show's been good. I know we both have a strong passion for Durocs, and it'll be fun to go through them. The biggest backed and biggest just middle gilt we've seen to this point in the day. And I'm telling you, this one comes to you like just a truck and leaves you with that same advantage. I can't get myself convinced that she's loose enough in the front 1/3 of her body. She naturally wants to be a little lower headed. And I think that's where the pair challenge themselves. She's short stepping, and I didn't drive them that long. She's got to have the ability to go longer for me to win a class at OYE and win a show at OYE. That being said, young man drives a gilt that has amazing pieces in terms of bone, feature, center body dimension, and man, when you get behind her, that's a memorable look in terms of squareness and width. Good gilt. Very minute differences and small differences sort them. Congratulations to that pair of young men. The gilt coming out next, as I told the young lady, there's some classes she may have won. Obviously, we show them by age, and that's appropriate here for this setting. Here's a gilt that's awesome in terms of her composition. She has an awesome look ahead of her blade. When you take her to the ground, she's not as stout and not as dense as the one that wins. She's not as big and just punchy in the center part of her body. And I guess from a side view profile perspective, I push her down in her ham loin and her 10th just a little bit, and just to keep her spine more in check. For me to get just a little bit critical, but again, masterfully presented, awesome skin and hair, great in terms of composition, and I think a gilt that has lots and lots of value. Young man's got just a real soft middle pliable gilt coming out next. She doesn't read as neat in the front 1/3 of her body. She's not as sharp in terms of her edges. I love her looseness of skeleton. I love her build.